Hey, it's Tara Yoga Bestie, and we're going through this second chakra today. So I promised to journey through all the different chakras before the end of the year. And I did not promise color coordination, but here we are, second week in a row, wearing my orange for the Sacral Chakra. So find a comfortable position for yourself, seated, reclined, child's pose. We're not using any props in particular, but as always, I like to have my blocks. So if you have them, great. Or if you have any other props that you like, perfect, bring them in. But we'll find our space to check in with the breath. So determine where you want your arms and legs to be. And you might wiggle into that space before closing your eyes as we start to tap into our Ujjayi breath. So inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Taking this time to connect with our breath, our energy source. So as we inhale, feeling the space right below the navel start to lift. As it draws upward, feeling an expansion through the belly, the side bodies, the rib cage, and our breath draws all the way up to where it lifts the collarbones. And then on our exhalation, we're going to feel our belly button draw in towards the spine, allowing us to use all three parts of the lungs. Our Ujjayi breath is an audible breath, so you're going to hear a snoring-like sound in the back of the throat, kind of like you're fogging up a mirror with your nose. And let's see if we can create a rhythm where we inhale to the count of 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. Exhaling the same, or just figuring out a rhythm that works for you, because our breath is going to fluctuate throughout the practice. What's most important is that we are breathing. And while you're tuning in, like I said, we're going through the second chakra, the sacral chakra, which is associated with the element of water, the color orange. It is our creative center and the home of movement, emotion, pleasure, and flow. It's also the home of joy. And joy doesn't ever demand perfection. It just requires us to give ourselves permission for joy. Making room for joy isn't selfish. It's also a sacred self-maintenance situation. So you gotta spend time for yourself, making some fun, having a little bit of joy. And so for this week, I have our affirmation as I make space in my life for joy. So you might inhale the words, I make space. Exhale, in my life for joy. Again, that's I make space in my life for joy. My recommendation throughout this practice is if you're not feeling a little sense of joy, just to put a big smile on your face, because then our cells think that we're happy. So this is a little trick that you can give yourself whenever you need it, just to tap into that feeling of joy. And it really does work. So use it whenever you'd like to. But on our next inhale, find some movement. So depending on where you started, that can look like different things. Maybe moving the spine around, maybe moving your head around, just kind of saying hello to your body. And then either from a reclined space or from an upright seated position, we'll all bring our hands together at our heart center, our Anjali Mudra, as we set our intention for our practice today, which might be our affirmation of I make space in my life for joy, or whatever else resonates with you today. Please honor that. And we'll take another big breath in here. Exhale, let it go. And then when you're ready, start to open up the eyes. We're going to make our way into our down dog to begin with. So there's no rush to get there, but feel free to start to bicycle the legs or warm up in any way that feels good in your practice today. Really spreading through the fingers nice and wide. And as you come into this upside down shape, just noticing what your breath is doing. So if you started to hold it right away, turn it on as you inhale and exhale through the nose. And then from here, we're going to bend our knees. And we might even come on to our tiptoes as we gaze forward. We're going to walk ourselves all the way to the front of the mat, coming into our forward fold. So you can separate your feet about hip distance apart or 2 fists width, maybe wider than that. Maybe reaching for opposite elbows or bringing the arms behind the back. You could sway from side to side or shake the head out as if you're saying yes and no. Just kind of checking in with the body. We're here for a couple breaths as we inhale. Exhale. Big breath in. As we exhale, release the arms and bring your feet together. As we bring our feet together, we're going to sit back into our heels, coming into our chair pose. So hands could either be at heart center or we could extend those arms forward. But we're coming into what I call kickstand chair. So the knees are connected and we're going to extend that left leg out. So that heel could be at a hover or it could be right on the mat, your choice. But we're going to sit back into the right heel. Big breath in. And then as we exhale, swing that leg back for half moon. So if you have a block, you might place it underneath that right hand as you open it up towards that long edge of the mat, flexing through your left foot. Big breath in here. And then as we exhale, bring your left hand down, big step back. So we're finding our runner's lunge. And if you have two blocks, you might have them both underneath your hands as we start to shift forward and back from runners to our pyramid-like pose, just moving at a pace that feels good to you. Feel free to take any detours or linger anywhere that might be a little bit interesting. And the next time that we shift it forward, go ahead and plant the hands. We'll make our way into our one-legged down dog. So we're gonna open up that hip, heel to behind, knee up towards the ceiling. Hold it here. Maybe find some movement like circles going in one direction, going in the other direction. And then we'll inhale, straightening that leg. Exhale, lower it down for your down dog. From here, we'll shift forward into our plank or our push-up position, bringing that weight forward so that we're not sitting near the heel of the hand or near the wrist. And then right arm is gonna reach up as we come into a staggered side plank, opening up towards the right side of the mat. From here, we're gonna open up the knees as we bring our hips towards our heels. So it's like we're creating a diamond shape, and you can bring that elbow in by your side as you bend the knees. And then we'll straighten. We'll bend, and we straighten. Do that once more. And straighten, and then bring your right knee in towards your chest. We're coming into an active pigeon, so bring that ankle over towards the left wrist. You can come onto your fingertips as you lift up through the heart center. Back toes are tucked. And yogi's choice, you can come forward right away, or maybe you want to come in forward and then lift and lower, just kind of opening up into this space. As you come forward, letting those elbows come out to the sides. Next time that you come forward, if you're lifting and lowering, hold it here, really working that left hip down to find what I like to call joy. Maybe not the same joy as in our affirmation. Take one more big breath in. Exhale. And then bring the hands underneath your shoulders, push the floor away. Moving into wild things, so bring that right foot behind as you come onto the ball of the foot, lifting up those hips, holding it here, maybe finding some movement. Inhale, we'll reach that arm overhead. Exhale, gaze towards the front of your mat. Big step forward with that right foot as we sit into that leg for Skandasana, so facing that long edge of the mat. And we'll start to shift forward and back. You can walk your hands from side to side, or your hands might be at heart center. And you choose how high or low this is. You choose your pacing. Next time we're towards the back, go ahead and bring those hands down, facing the back, coming into lizard pose. So both hands will come to the inside of that left foot. You can lower that right knee down. If you have space, you might bring the forearms down. And then we're gonna come into a quad stretch. So bend that back leg. Maybe you find that foot or ankle, or maybe it's enough just to bend the leg. If you have hold of it, try to work that left shoulder on top of the right as you open up to the other side of the mat here. Big breath in. Exhale. Yeah, and then we'll bring those hands down. And we'll meet at the back of our mat in our forward fold, taking a couple breaths here. And if you know you like your blocks, go ahead and get them from the front. Bring them to the back. One more big breath in here. Exhale. And then feet come together as we sit back into that chair pose, moving into that kickstand chair. So knees stay connected. This time the right leg straightens out, whether we have that heel hovering or not, but keep shifting your weight back into that left heel. Take one more big breath in. Exhale, we'll swing that leg back as we move into our half moon, opening it up, flexing through that right foot. Inhale. And then as we exhale, lower the right hand down, big step back for your runner's lunge. You can have those blocks nearby as we start to shift forward and back from runners to our pyramid pose here. Noticing one side is not necessarily the exact same as the other side, which is totally cool. Next time that we shift it forward, go ahead and plant the hands one-legged down dog. So opening that left hip, heel to behind, knee up towards the ceiling. Stay here, start to make your circles. Going in one direction, going in the other direction. Nice, and then we'll straighten that leg, lower it down for our down dog, and we'll shift it forward, plank pose. Left arm reaches up this time as we come into that staggered side plank. We're gonna bend those knees, working those hips down. Elbow can come to the side, and then we straighten. We bend and straighten. Once more bending. Straighten out, wrapping in towards your chest, moving into that active pigeon, so back toes are tucked, coming onto those fingertips in a wide stance as we lift up through the chest. And then we bring it forward, or we can lift and lower on this side. Working that right hip crease down. Next time that we come forward, hold it here. Maybe lean a little bit more into that right side so you can feel all of that joy. Big breath in. Exhale. And then hands come underneath the shoulders. We're pushing into the mat, moving into wild thing. So left leg comes behind as you come onto the ball of the foot, lifting up those hips, holding or finding some movement here. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale, gaze towards the back of your mat. Big step to the back with that left foot as we quit Skandasana. And we'll start to move from side to side here, maybe with a little bit more pacing since we've already been here. Next time you're at the front of your mat, bring your hands down and then face forward for your lizard pose. So both hands to the inside of that right foot. We might lower that back knee down. Any variations you like. And we can get into that quad stretch by bending the back leg, maybe finding that foot or ankle. Big breath in. Exhale. And then we'll release that coming into our forward fold at the front of our mat. Let's roll all the way up. And as soon as our head lifts, we'll reach those arms up and back. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, we lengthen halfway. And let's plant the hands, keeping our gaze forward as we step it back into our plank pose. Lowering with muscle either all the way down or maybe we hover chaturanga. Inhaling into your cobra or up dog. Exhaling into your down dog. And we'll breathe here for a few breaths as we inhale. Exhale 1. Inhale. Exhale 2. Big breath in. Exhale, softening the knees. We gaze forward as we step or float to the front. Inhale, lengthening. Exhale, forward fold. Let's reverse, reaching it up and back. Exhale, forward. Inhale. Exhale, playing the hands as we make our way to our down dog. Any way we like, so you can always skip the vinyasa. 2 breaths as we inhale. Exhale. Big breath in. Exhale, softening those knees. We gaze forward as we step or float to the front. Inhale, lengthening. Exhale, forward fold. Let's reverse, reach it up and back. Exhale, forward. Inhale. Exhale, hands plant as we make our way to our down dog or any resting position of choice. Because that concludes our warm-up. How we doing? All right. So if you're new to my practice, we take almost all the poses from our warm-up and we put them into 2 main sequences, which I call peanut butter and jelly, using the peanut butter and jelly method. So the idea is that we go through the first one a little bit slower, but maybe not as slow if we've done it in the warm-up. And then we repeat more at breath pace 2 times. And then we do the same thing for peanut butter and jelly and then bring them together at the very end, which is my favorite part, for one long, delicious peanut butter and jelly sequence sandwich. So are we ready? All right. Make our way into down dog. And as we do, inhaling, I make space. Exhale, in my life for joy. I make space in my life for joy. So maybe put on that smile right now, right? All right, let's go. So from our down dog, we inhale, shifting it forward into our plank pose. Right arm reaches up for our staggered side plank. And we inhale, bending the knees, bringing the elbow into the side. Exhale, straighten. Inhale, bend. Exhale, straighten. Inhale, bend. Exhale, straighten. And then bring that right knee in towards your chest as you move into that active pigeon. Take a big breath in here. And then as we exhale, bring it forward. Full breath in. Exhale. And then as we inhale, we'll move into our wild thing, bringing that right foot behind as we lift up those hips. Really lifting up the hips as we gaze towards the fingertips here. And then on our exhale, we'll gaze towards the front of our mat, taking a big step forward with that right foot as we sit into our Skandasana. From here, we'll shift to the back, and then we face the back for our lizard pose. So we might come into that quad stretch like we did in our warm-up, or maybe we're gonna play today. So we're playing with flying lizard, which I also like to call broken running man because it looks very similar to that. So you can start to bring that left shoulder or that knee underneath, that left shoulder underneath the knee. That's what I'm trying to say. The easiest way I think to do it is to really push into the hands, starting to bring that foot towards your mouth before you shift forward and lift up that back leg. You can also bend that back leg. It'll make it a little bit more accessible. And I think it makes it look a little bit cooler. So if that is in your practice today, awesome. If not, no worries, maybe another time. But from here, either taking your vinyasa or we go right to down dog, setting up for our second side. So from here, we shift it forward, plank pose. Left arm reaches up as we come into that staggered side plank, and we'll inhale, bending. Exhale, straighten. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Bring that left knee into your chest as you move into your active pigeon. Big breath in as we lift. Exhale, we'll bring it forward, working that right hip crease down as we take a big breath in. Exhale. On our inhale, push into the mat, moving into your wild thing. So lifting up those hips, bringing that arm overhead. Inhale. Exhale, gaze towards the back of your mat. Big step to the back with that left foot as we sit into Skandasana. And then we'll shift it forward, coming into our lizard pose. So option to go into anything you want really, but maybe that quad stretch, or maybe we're playing with flying lizard. This time we'll tuck that right shoulder underneath the knee, lifting up the back knee, start to bring that foot towards your face so you're not high off the ground, and then shift it forward to pick up the back leg, maybe bending it for your flying lizard. All right. Taking a couple more breaths as we inhale. Exhale. Big breath in. And exhale. All right. We'll start to move through this with more pacing. So making our way into our down dog. We shift it forward, plank. Reaching that right arm up for staggered side plank. And we bend and straighten. Bend. Straighten. Bend. Straighten. Right knee comes into chest as we move into our active pigeon. Big breath here. Exhale forward. Inhale, we move into our wild thing. Exhale, gaze to the front of the mat. Step it forward with that right foot as you sit into Skandasana. We'll shift it to the back. And we face the back for lizard pose. Maybe just working those shoulders back and gaze and chest lift. And then as we exhale, make your way to down dog. Inhale, plank to our staggered side plank where we'll bend, straighten, bend, straighten, bend, straighten. Left knee draws into chest as we move into our active pigeon. Inhale, exhale, bring it forward. Inhale moves us into wild thing. Exhale, gaze to the back as you step it to the back, sitting into it for Skandasana. We'll shift it forward, face forward for our lizard pose. Maybe stick out your tongue like a little lizard. And then we'll exhale, down dog. Inhale, plank to that staggered side plank where we'll bend, straighten, bend, straighten, bend, straighten to our active pigeon. Inhale, exhale, bring it forward. Inhale, wild thing. Exhale, moving into that Skandasana, that side lunge. Shift it to the back. Lizard pose, lifting up through the chest. Exhale, down dog. Almost there, we shift it forward. Inhale, staggered side plank. We bend, straighten, bend, straighten, bend, straighten, and then bring that left knee in to find that active pigeon as we inhale. Exhale, forward. Inhale, moving into wild thing. Exhale, gaze to the back. Step it to the back as you sit into that side lunge. And then we shift it forward. Lizard pose to our down dog. How we doing? That's our peanut butter. So that means it's jelly time. So take a moment, get a drink of water, towel off, check in with your breath. We will meet at the front of our mat in our mountain pose when you're ready. And if you're not ready, just come there anyway with a big smile on your face. We'll draw the shoulders up, back, and down. Inhaling, I make space. Exhale, in my life for joy. I make space in my life for joy. All right, let's go. Chair pose to our kickstand chair. So knees are connected as we extend the left leg. Again, it can be hovering or can lower down. And then we swing it back, coming into our half moon. Big breath in here. And then as we exhale, big bend in that knee. We're gonna come into goddess. So heels in, toes out. And since the second chakra is all about fluidity, we're doing a little bit of what I'm calling star bursts. So we're gonna just bring our arms up and all the way back to heart center as we come back into that goddess. So we're just kind of exploding here. It's kind of fun. Yes. Yay. All right, we'll find goddess, taking a big breath in. And then as we exhale, face the back, runner's twist. So right hand is down, left arm reaches up as we stack shoulder on top of shoulder. Full breath in here. And then on our exhale, left hand lowers, feet come together, forward fold. That's our jelly. So we sit it back into the heels, chair pose, kickstanding that right leg out as we continue to shift that weight back into our heel. Big breath in. Exhale, swing it back for half moon. Opening it up, really flexing through that foot. Big breath here. Exhale, big bend, soft landing, heels and toes out for our goddess. And then we find our starbursts. Yay. It really is fun. It brings joy. All right, we'll meet in our goddess. And then we face back forward for runner's twist. So left hand is down, right arm reaches up, stacking shoulder on top of shoulder. Big breath here. Exhale, bring that hand down, feet come together, forward fold. Let's pick up the pace. Chair pose. We'll kickstand that left leg. Exhale, swing it back as we come into our half moon. And then big bend in that knee, soft landing for goddess. 3 starbursts. So we do this 1, 2, 3. And then we face the back for runner's twist. Feet come together at the back of the mat. Inhale, chair. Kickstand the right leg. Swinging it back so that we inhale into our half moon. Exhale, big bend, soft landing for goddess. 3 starbursts. And then face forward for your runner's twist. And then feet come together, forward fold. Inhale, chair. Kickstanding the left leg. Swing it back for half moon. Soft landing goddess to 3 starbursts. Noise effects are great. Runner's twist to the back. And then forward fold at the back. Inhale, chair. Kickstanding the right leg. And then we swing it back for half moon. Soft landing goddess. 3 starbursts. Yay! Facing forward, runner's twist to our forward fold. Okay. Guess what? We made it to my favorite part. It's peanut butter and jelly time. Get a drink of water. Towel off. Do a little dance because we're cultivating joy today. So do what you need. But we're gonna bring these together one last time. We're inhaling. I make space. Exhaling in my life for joy. I make space in my life for joy. All right, let's meet in down dog. From our down dog, we shift it forward plank pose to our staggered side plank, right arm up. And we inhale, bend. Exhale, straighten. Bend, straighten. Bend, straighten. Right knee comes in for our active pigeon as we inhale, lifting up. Exhale, bring it forward. Inhale, wild thing, bringing that right foot behind. Exhale, gaze to the front of your mat. Big step forward as we sit into that side lunge. We shift it to the back. Lizard pose as we face the back, opening up through the chest. And then bringing the feet together, forward fold. Inhale, chair. We kickstand the left leg out. And then we shift it back so that we move into our half moon. Landing softly into our goddess, where we do our 3 starbursts. And then facing forward, runner's twist to our down dog. So if you wanted to take a vinyasa, feel free to do so, but the first side is done. Big breath in. Exhale. Let's do this. Shifting it forward, plank pose. Left arm reaches up this time for staggered side plank. And we inhale, bend. Exhale, straighten. Bend, straighten. Bend, straighten. Left knee draws in as we move into that active pigeon. Inhale, we lift. Exhale, forward. Inhale, moving into our wild thing. Exhale, gaze to the front. Big step forward as you sit into your side lunge. And then we shift it to the back, facing the back for our lizard pose, opening up through the heart. And then feet come together as we come into our forward fold. Inhale, chair pose, kickstanding that right leg. And then we swing it back for half moon. Soft bend as we come into our goddess, 3 starbursts. And then facing forward to our runner's twist. Option to take one last vinyasa or come to down dog or any resting position because you did it. Yay. All right. So we are going to close with some alternate nostril breathing. So find a comfortable seated position. And because I always like to share stories for my students, I don't remember what the test was, but she was letting me know that she has a big test coming up today, actually. So we're going to send her all kinds of good vibes. But she'd been doing the practice tests, and before them, doing alternate nostril breathing, which she said puts her in a completely different state of mind, and it was so helpful. So I love hearing stories like that. So we'll find our hang loose hands. So bring those 3 fingers down. So have access to your thumb and your pinky. I'm using my right hand, using my right thumb to cover that right nostril as I inhale in through the left. Close, and then exhale out through the right. Inhale right. Close, exhale left. Inhale left. Close, exhale right. Taking as many rounds as you like, but when you're ready, we'll bring our hands onto our knees, breathing in and out through both nostrils. Just letting all of that practice, along with our breathing, kind of just sink in for a moment. The reason that type of breathing can work for those instances is because it allows us to find clarity. It balances both hemispheres of the brain. So it's great for any sort of situation where we don't feel fully present. So anxious, fearful, angry, sad, all of those types of feelings that get us out of our heads. This provides a little bit of clarity. So see how it works for you. Give it a try. And from here, we can stay in a seated, kind of more of a meditative position, or coming into a reclined space for Shavasana, depending on what you're feeling. And just allowing yourself to take up space on the mat in any way that you like. So if you're in a reclined space, maybe a nice wide stance, letting the arms come down by the sides, feet fall freely to the sides. And I like to tell you that I encourage you to take up space here on the mat, because our practice is a reflection of our lives off the mat. So the idea is that if we take up space here, we take up space once we get out into the world. And just having a moment of gratitude for showing up to your mat today, gratitude for all the hard work that you put in, and gratitude for this feeling that you created. And be so proud of yourself. Know that I'm so proud of you. As you just allow yourself to be completely still, letting your breath be soft. Shavasana. And as always, you can stay here as long as you like. But if you're ready, we can start to invite small movements into the body, like wiggling the fingertips of the toes, making some rotations with the wrists, the ankles. And when you're ready, we'll meet in a seated position of choice, bringing the hands to heart center, our Anjali Mudra, as we tuck our chin under. I make space in my life for joy. Take this feeling with you as you leave the mat, because that is when our true yoga begins. Until next time, namaste. Bye.